Tonight on the Chillstream, white boy summer turns into Caucasian autumn. Elon Musk tries to control the world of Bitcoin and digital currencies, all that and so much more coming up in 2 minutes. And we're back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to another Monday Night Chill Stream. It is Monday, September 11th, 2023, 22 years after the 9/11 attacks. Not a whole lot going on with that, but people have, I think a couple of newspapers had something on the front page, but to be honest, it's not a big number anniversary. It's not 25 years or 30 years or whatever. But they want to, they want to convince you that this is super important. So they're not going to make a big deal out of it. However, there are big deals. There are big things going on. There are actually some very, very big things going on in the world, and they're very big and they're moving very slowly. But it's a bit inexorable. It is inexorable. And things are lining up in ways that Bitcoiners have been talking about for a couple of years, and the parts are slowly falling into place, and it's going to set the stage for some very dramatic gains in the next couple of years. The stuff I got tonight, I was sitting around like the whole week. I couldn't find any clips. I couldn't find any video. I'm like, uh-oh, what am I going to do? And then all of a sudden this morning was like a cascade of stuff to the point where I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I had us to go like, no, not that. I'll push that till next week. So we got a lot of observations, a lot of stuff that caught my eye. And yeah, so let's see. What are we going to talk about, man? It's like I gotta figure out where we go first. There's so much good stuff. By the way, the title of tonight's stream is "They Chose Violence," and I was really talking about, when I thought about this, I thought about the sort of people that are sticking with their game plan, even though it hasn't worked out real well for them. You guys know I'm a big fan of that MMA stuff, and I follow it. Not super close, but I'm fascinated by it. There was a recent fight between Israel Adesanya, who's black, against a guy named Sean Strickland, who's white. And Israel was the champion, and Sean Strickland literally fucking took this guy apart. and this dude was considered this black guy was considered like, you know, unbeatable, but because he had beat a lot of other fighters. But Sean Strickland literally just beat him like a rented mule. I got a quick video of that. It's 1 minute. And the UFC really doesn't like this guy. They don't like this guy at all. But the more they dislike him, the more I do like him. Let's take a look.
The Strickland fight coming together, like,
I don't want this guy as a champion.
How much convincing did the UFC take to, I guess, put that one on for you?
No man that beats off the cartoons is gonna beat me.
A lot. Like I said, he's an idiot.
I can't even pretend not to be a white trash motherfucker.
Okay.
You know, the UFC don't want him embarrassing the company.
Americans, we need to go back to like taking women out of the workforce.
You should really thank me for actually making him get the fight.
We need to put women back in the kitchen. Only one man needs to be working. As a collective man group, we need to elect somebody that's going to put women back in the kitchen.
That's f***ing illegal.
Have you ever thought about going to therapy, Sean?
For what?
Yeah.
The problem with therapy, I think they would just convince me to like fucking start killing everybody.
I don't give a f***.
You're right, Doc. Kill these motherfuckers.
Is he fucking awesome?
But yeah, now I'm a good dude.
So you can see he's a little rough. He's kind of at the Kanye level of argument and discourse, but he talks about you know, breaking the law. So definitely kind of our guy, and you know, somebody who's figured out that things haven't gone the way they're supposed to go, and that America is, you know, it's in deep trouble. But there's a bunch of video of this guy. You should really check him out. See the different analyses of UFC 293 and how it just completely destroyed that black dude who's an a-hole. But I didn't know really who this guy was, and they threw him in against this black guy because there was a white guy from South Africa that was going to fight this black dude, and he was going to call himself the King of Africa. And it got out of control with the pre-fight bullshit, and it was the guy from South Africa's name was like Driscus, something like Driscus, and Driscus had a fight, and he won the fight. And this black guy comes in and he goes, listen, you know, and he starts dropping N-bombs, nigga this, nigga that, blah, 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 blah. You know, I'm going to beat you down. And it was like crazy out of control. It got super racial. They quieted it down, and they claimed that the South African guy hurt his foot. Who knows? Maybe they broke the guy's foot so he wouldn't beat Adesanya. But then they put this dude Sean Strickland in, and if you watch the fight, Strickland just had this guy's number. In every way you could possibly have this guy's number. Virgil Doc, Purple Heart, welcome to the show, sir. So yeah, they're choosing violence, and it's really not gonna work out for them, not at all, because the world is changing in ways, and the people who Bitcoin people are. Which one do I want to show first? I want to show El Salvador. There's a couple El Salvador videos I have. Everybody knows El Salvador adopted Bitcoin as legal tender alongside the US dollar, and their economy has been thriving. Part of it's due to Bitcoin adoption. The other part of it is due to this.
Gang members in El Salvador. A frightening image inside a prison in El Salvador, and President Nayib Bukele wants the world to see. He says it shows gang members punished and kept in crowded cells away from any sunlight since the end of March. Bukele says the food is now being rationed to 2 meals per day for gang members now facing harsher sentences.
Really, as far as if I were in charge, that's a lot of food. 2 meals a day, you know, that the taxpayers of El Salvador have to come up with out of their pockets to keep these bastards alive. That's more than I would give them. As everyone knows, I'm an advocate of the Ghanaian prison system, where you get a prison cell, and that's pretty much it. And if nobody comes to give you food every day, well, then that prison cell becomes empty for about 30 days. We get to put somebody else in there. One more quick 25-second El Salvador prison vid. Want you to take notice of the prison guards, what they look like. Did you notice all the guards had balaclavas on? You can't see their faces. They're all armed, and you can't see their faces, so none of those gang members can identify them. And you know, the text on the screen is like, oh, they're treated like enemy combatants. Well, what would you call the people? What would you call the people who choose to murder and sell poison in your country? What would you call them? If someone is willing to do that, right, to murder their fellow citizens, to sell their fellow citizens poison, right, to rape, to kill, if they're willing to violate all of those rules and conventions of behavior, why would you want to treat them like decent people? It just doesn't make sense, because they're not decent people. Federico Vasconcelos, welcome to the show. Super predators in prison makes me happy. Yes, they are definitely, that is the largest prison in the world in El Salvador. And that's the other half of improving your nation state, right? First thing you got to do is stabilize the economy and give people money that you know, literally is not based on theft. And then the other thing you need to do is take the poison out of the system. Griped and pill-pulled, that's barbaric, James. Whatever they've done, they're still human beings. Whatever they've done at Griped and pill-pulled, put them there in the first place. If they were really better human beings, they wouldn't be in fucking prison. Now, I don't really know entirely how the El Salvador legal system works. I'm not 100% sure. I think south of the Rio Grande, the legal code is based not on Roman law like it is in America. It's based on the Napoleonic Code, which is different. Like, it doesn't allow for undercover police. It doesn't allow for a bunch of different things. But it is, I think, harsher. I don't even know if they have like a two-tiered like charges. I don't know if they have something like a misdemeanor and a felony. I have no idea how that works. They might not make that distinction because it's just too expensive to run a trial that way. But Griped and Pilfold, with his sympathy for these people who prey on their neighbors. I don't have sympathy for people that prey on their neighbors. I just don't, right? If you don't produce something of value for others, you're a parasite. Period, end of story. You're a parasite. And I don't want you around. And the whole idea of paying taxes is somebody comes and fixes this shit. Somebody comes and fixes this shit. Federico Vasconcelos, crime equals poverty. Absolutely. It does create poverty. Yes. Poverty does not cause crime. Obviously, there's very wealthy criminals in this world. Yeah, crime does cause poverty because people are afraid to go out of the house. They won't go to the store to buy a quart of milk or whatever, a liter of leche, whatever the fuck I really want to say it. They can't conduct their businesses. They can't do anything. They just hide, you know, in whatever little hovel they have, whatever little shelter they have, and hope that it all goes away and hope that it doesn't come to them. Last week I showed some videos of that Philly bro that said there was a shootout by two good boys on SUVs on 5th and Market Street. I actually know where 5th. I know where 5th and South Street is. I'm not sure if I know where Market Street is because there's a restaurant I go to on South Street. But and I mentioned that I'd seen this, you know, like I've been driving through Philly and I've seen like literally 100 dudes on dirt bikes in the middle of the day. And I have a video of this. It's 41 seconds that somebody else got. It's not my video, but I've seen this. I don't know, every summer for at least the past 3 summers. So that's pretty common. That's super common. That happens in New York City as well. Wave to them and smile. Put a smile on your face. Give them a thumbs up, because if they decide they're unhappy with you, it's going to be 150 against 1. And no matter what it is you think you're going to do, it's going to end bad. But, you know, the guy starts the video saying, you know, welcome to Philadelphia, where you have to stop at a green light. So just traveling from point A to point B, whether you're on your way to pick up kids from school, or you're on your way to work, or on your way home from work, you can't even do the basics of life when you have lawlessness. Now, that's not the same as joining a gang in El Salvador, but it's sympathy. It's not griped and pill pull. It's not a matter of sympathy. It's a matter of treating prisoners humanely. Okay, griped. I'm starting to think you're a Fed. How about treating the taxpayer humanely? Like, the taxpayer has to absorb the violence, right? Taxpayer has to be robbed, raped, and killed by these people, and then has to pay to house, clothe, feed, and give medical care to these people. Why don't you take your fucking bleeding fucking heart and point it towards the taxpayers? Why is your sympathy always for the ones who break the law? Why? They're still human beings. They don't act like it. They're human beings after they're done. After they're done with you, then they're human beings. Because when they're in a good mood, this is what they are. A human being. He's just a human being. Taking his high-powered car and doing donuts in the middle of the street. They're just human beings. And the other guy's just a human being. When he gets, his car gets damaged, he just, in the most human way possible, in the most humane way possible, draws his stolen Glock and does a fucking mag dump into a crowd. It's humanity. Spare me. The problem is you are either dishonest or you cannot see the reality of what puts these people in this position in the first place. So let's go to they can't see it. This is I wasn't even going to show this, but wasn't even going to show this. Where was the other one? Let me see which one I want to do first. Okay. Oh, here's a perfect slight detour. We're going to hop over to South Africa. Back in the day, South Africa, particularly in Johannesburg, the most violent city on the face of the earth, had a problem with what they call hijackings, we call carjackings. There was quite a creative solution to carjacking, and there was a news item about it, and I thought this thing had disappeared, but thank God for the internet, because it remembers everything.
In 1998, an inventor sold a flamethrower kit for cars to counter carjacking in South Africa. This widespread practice in the country, where it's known as hijacking, prompted an entrepreneur, Charles Forey, to create an anti-carjacking device worthy of a James Bond movie.
There's absolutely nothing that people can do against attacks on vehicles. Some systems have been devised that will recover your car, like the satellite tracking. This system differs from that. It will stop the hijacker in his tracks. He will never get your car, and you will never have to recover it in the first place.
Called the Blaster, it's operated by a pedal inside the car and squirted liquefied gas from a bottle placed in the car's trunk through two nozzles under the front doors, ignited by a spark. Whether the attack comes from one or both sides of the vehicle, both sides flame at the same time. Forey asserted, this is definitely non-lethal. A person is not going to stand there for a minute while you roast him. The police didn't see any problem and confirmed the system was perfectly legal as long as the right people were targeted. At a price of $655, only a few hundred had been sold, and the device was taken off the market in 2001.
That is the most perfect anti-carjacking device you could possibly have, particularly in Africa where you don't have, pesky laws about getting sued. But how much, be honest, if you drive a vehicle, how much would you love to have that system on your car? And even if you don't drive a car, how much would you love to see videos of Antifa and BLM activists getting the barbecue treatment? Come on, you know you'd want to see that. You know you would want to see that. I know, and if the Constitution burners get their way, you know what I mean, and they're nonstop, they're all the time. They're like, they're doing everything it's in their power, and things that are not in their power legally to create a situation where we just decide, you know what, it's easier, just burn the Constitution, and then we'll build perfect on top of the ashes. That isn't going to happen, but they're trying it all the time everywhere, and not just in places like the beautiful state of New Jersey where I live, but even in places where you wouldn't expect it. This is a kind of a longer clip. It's only like 2 minutes, but I might not show the whole thing, but it gets the idea across that our enemies don't ever sleep.
It's a pretty resounding message to everybody else in that community to report a crime, to tell us what's going on.
The governor's emergency order to suspend people's rights to carry firearms in public is raising concern among gun owners. Let's get right to reporter Julian Paras.
Yeah, that's right, Sasha. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham is receiving praise from local advocacy groups like New Mexicans to Prevent Gun Violence that believe this action needs to be taken. But as you mentioned, not everyone is thrilled, and one couple says their story relates to this issue.
No person other than a law enforcement officer or licensed security officer shall possess a firearm, either openly or concealed.
That emergency order coming from the governor Friday. It means anyone in Albuquerque and the surrounding county who owns a gun can't have one in public for the next month. Michelle Lujan Grisham taking action after an 11-year-old boy was killed Wednesday night.
If that mandate had been in effect while we were there, Lynn and I would be dead. Simply dead.
Chuck DeCaro and his wife, Lynn Russell, believe this order to suspend Second Amendment rights could cause problems for public safety rather than aid it. Back in 2015, during a road trip, the two were held at gunpoint here in Albuquerque. Russell says if it weren't for them having their firearms and Chuck being able to protect himself and Lynn, they don't believe they would be here today.
I said, is this woman crazy? Because this is wrong every way you look at it.
As a former CNN news anchor and former Albuquerque resident, Russell questions the validity of this decision as she poses this question to Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham.
The population needs to be able to defend itself, so why take the Second Amendment away from the very people who need it the most?
Grisham arguing that this choice comes down to how many children are being killed in the state now.
Gun deaths are the leading cause of death for children 1 to 19 in New Mexico.
Now, those who violate this order during this 30-day stint could face civic penalties and fines of up to $5,000.
Online, if you look at stuff, if you look at Instagram and at different news items about this, the feds are out. Oh, you're not just going to sit there and take this, are you? When are you going to do something? put on your Hawaiian shirts, blah, 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 the Boogaloo Boys. And they're being called out as feds all over the place. So, and I joined in the chorus of Fed, Fed, Fed. Groipton Pilpool, do you mean the Constitution burners like the Mango Mussolini? Who's the Mango Mussolini? Pure anarcho-tyranny. It's not anarcho-tyranny, really. This is straight. Once you recognize the playbook, Greta Thunberg wanted you to not eat meat, sell your car, buy a bicycle, and never use air conditioning again, right? They always use children to advance their fucking agenda, right? They always hide behind children. They always hide behind children. They always hide behind children because, well, people like children, and you can't. How could you possibly be against keeping children safe? This is all largely bullshit, and it's going to fail. It's going to fail massively, and stuff like this is going to give these Second Amendment groups like Firearms Policy Coalition and others. It's going to give them tons of fucking material to sue over, and then when they get paid from those lawsuits, it's just going to make them stronger, right? The reality of the streets of Philadelphia and other cities where people know it's not safe to go outside, and then the government says, your government says that it's deeply concerned for you and wants to take away your Second Amendment rights. Nobody's going to go for it. Nobody's going to go for it, but it doesn't stop them from trying. And there's never a consequence for them doing this, right? If the Constitution is the software, the programming for the country, right? It's the template for how this country is governed. It's the software code, right? It's not the software code, but in the future it will be. You can make changes to it, but everyone has to benefit from those changes. There's a method for amending the Constitution. You just got to convince 3/4 of the states, 75% of the states, and their governors to put, your idea is a good idea, and then they'll amend the Constitution. It's simple, but if your idea is wildly unpopular, it's not going to work. So they hide behind dead children, and they look to make as many dead children as they could possibly stack up in front of a camera. Blacks and Amerindians can go wild, but whites will be forever more controlled. Everyone's going to be controlled. They don't discriminate based on skin color. Trust me. They do not discriminate based on skin color. They do discriminate, however, whether or not you are in their ethnic group. This is I wasn't going to show this, but I'm going to show it anyway because it pisses me off. But it's going to be it's going to be upsetting emotionally. But the issue with these people, right? And these are most Americans, people that I would recognize as my country. Their heart's in the right place, but they can't see it. Selective attention. You are focused on the wrong thing, and so you will never see it.
Came up to a clip of the 90s. I showed it to Pat yesterday. I got emotional because it's Mia Farrow and Woody Allen's on the phone. She's crying and describing what the abuse that he did to a 7-year-old girl. So if it's all right, this is a tapped phone call from Woody Allen talking to Mia Farrow, and they're talking about Dylan.
Way beyond that now. What you've done to Suni, what you've done to Dylan, what you've done to Dylan. Dylan's a baby. I've always worked and worried about you and Dylan. And I didn't know the doctor had to report this to the authorities. I went just to be sure she was all right. And she's not all right, Woody. She walks around the house holding her vagina, and you hurt her. And I feel pretty guilty myself that I wasn't there to protect her. She said, Mama, you didn't help me. She said, Daddy shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have hurt me like that.
So disturbing. Yeah, here's something like that. I can't. It's just, and these people, nothing happens, Pat. No jail. Woody Allen's walking around. This poor girl's ruined for her whole life. That Epstein Island, all those girls, all those kids, no accountability. These people just walk, nothing happened.
See, that guy's pretty upset. He's literally beside himself. He's in tears, you know. And he doesn't notice that Woody Allen and Jeffrey Epstein are from the same ethnic group. He says all of these people. He's literally right on top of it, but he can't see it. That's the insanity of selective attention. That is I guess the tragedy. Someone like me, you know, and a few others who can see that these elites are largely from one group, and that they do not play by the same rules we play by. That our laws don't apply to them, and they do whatever they choose. You know, the reason why they get away with that is because they print the fucking money. Period. End of story. They print the money. They control the incentives. Expecting someone to be better than their incentives is naive and asking to be fucking betrayed. You're fucking asking to be fucking betrayed. And you don't have an understanding of how fucking shit works. You really, really, really don't. And what else do I got? Man, I got fucking so much shit. I don't even know where to go with all this. I'm not quite as organized as I like to think I am sometimes. But until you understand that the ideal world of the future does not contain child rape. Like if I could design a citadel, right? It was up to me if I was going to be like the head of a citadel, right? Rule number 1, no kids get raped. That'd be like a really important rule, and everyone would comply with that rule, or the consequences would be both immediate and severe. But you know, guys like Gordon Pilpold, you know, he has sympathy for the Woody Allens. He has sympathy for the Jeffrey Epsteins, right? Grunt and Pilpold. Federico Vasconcelos, some whites really do need to be controlled. You know what? Grunt and Pilpold? I think you're right. And I think I'm going to exercise some control right now. Ready, set, go. Adios, Grunt and Pilpold. You have earned a swat with the banhammer. It used to be sort of interesting to me to have feds come into the chat, but they're so shitty at their fucking job, and they're just annoying. They're really just fucking annoying. But you know, they're trying everything all at the fucking same time, and it isn't going to work. Let's go. All right, let's go. Let's talk about what the future is going to be. Let's talk about, I'll tell you what, things are not good even at the top. You know, I talk about there's going to be an economic collapse. There's a million ways to see this coming. This is a 58-second video. This is economic pain is coming for everyone in the income spectrum, from the lowest to the highest.
I got to show you this, a $12 million house that's sitting empty. Take a look at this. This home, the owner bought for $12 million 3 years ago. And if you look at the pictures on the inside, it's not even that nice. This home is sitting empty, and it's actually currently on the market for rent. They're trying to get $23,000 a month in rent for this house. And of course, because that's an absurd rental rate, it's been sitting vacant. And now here's the crazy thing, everyone. On that house that we just passed, the property taxes alone are $150,000 a year. Let alone costs for, you know, insurance and maintenance and groundskeeping. There's a pool and a tennis court in the backyard. And so that owner is having to pay more than double the median household income in America, which is $75,000, just to let the house sit vacant, which is crazy, everyone. There's anywhere between 12 to 14 million vacant homes in America, and these vacant homeowners are having to pay huge expenses. One has to wonder, how long can that last, even in a wealthy neighborhood like 90210 in Beverly Hills? Could some of these owners eventually be forced to sell?
The answer is yes, they're going to be forced to sell. The government's not going to give them free money to keep they're not going to be able to give people who bought $12 million houses as an investment. They're not going to be able to back up the Brinks truck to these people's front door and convince the American taxpayer to do it. That's just not going to happen. In the meantime, everybody's going to move into this the AI economy, man. This is, I mentioned this before. I was in, where was I? I went to, I was in Hartford a couple of nights ago, and after I dropped off my piece, I went to like this Mexican joint. That was really a Mexican joint. It's like a burrito place. So near Bradley Airport. So I go in there, and the crew they're all like 20 somethings with nose rings, and they're all fucking, to their credit, they were working pretty hard. But I was there like right before they closed. They're trying to get out. But they were polite and reasonably friendly. But, you know, I was trying to talk to them, and they're like, it's crazy. You can't get through it. They're stoners who just don't process reality correctly. Their brain, like, listen, they got fucking nose piercings and all that shit. And you say things to them, and it isn't just, well, it's a generational thing. They don't get what I'm saying because, you know, I'm 3/4 of a boomer or something like that. They're not getting basic senses. And the problem is they're spending all their time in an artificially generated environment, and then they're taking drugs. And the AI economy and the AI world is coming. It's coming. I got a minute 30 video of, so I think this is like an advertisement that came into my feed. But this is what everyone around you is being soaked in every day.
Karina Kopp makes millions bucks a month, and we're about to steal it with AI. First, understand why it's working for her. She sells exclusive content of herself, which classifies as a digital product. This is the highest leverage product that you could sell. Zero cost and zero fulfillment. Now let's make some money, shall we? Step 1. Go to IG and type AI influencer. As you can see, there are tons of accounts that are getting massive followings. And scary thing is, they look legit, real. Step 2. We need an image to train our AI to create an influencer for us. Step 3. Go to Midjourney, put your image and write down your prompt. This will use the image we found to create a realistic image of someone that doesn't exist. Step 4. Go to crart.ai, upload that image, and it'll create tons more for you. Step 5. Go to IG and search for your desired influencer, download video, and then upload to deepfake.web. This will combine our AI-generated face with our AI-generated body. Next, post those videos on IG and build massive following. And last, to make money with it, you will sell your audience a digital product referred to exclusive content. If you want 5 products that you can sell right now, comment AI, and I will send you in DM.
That's the future of the economy. A bunch of, I don't know, sickly looking, you know, pale people sitting in their fucking pods and they're with their AI avatars selling digital products to each other, you know, and supposedly making $1 million a day. They're not making $1 million a day. The 100,000 followers, 95,000 of those followers are bots. But this is the world that Zoomers and millennials live in. That's all they see and that's all they know, and they think it's real. They can't tell, and they don't even give a fuck because the idea that they're going to get paid and get out of their miserable circumstance is what they want. So they'll try anything and they'll go deeper and deeper and deeper into this delusional fantasy world that is controlled by people they can't see and whose agenda they don't know, and it's going to lead to a lot of negative consequences. It's going to lead to a lot of negative consequences. But there's people all around that are noticing the cracks. They're noticing that behind that curtain, you know, things are not quite as they seem, and there's an ominous vibe in the air because the outcome is inevitable. I'm going to take a ride over to the beautiful state of Illinois to find out, hey, what's going on in Illinois?
Why does Illinois have so many abandoned neighborhoods? You've probably seen about every other week I film a brand new abandoned neighborhood. Neighborhoods could go abandoned for many different reasons. This one, for example, was abandoned after the 2008 housing market crash. Or this one, which was abandoned because of toxic water in the ground. Some which I still can't find the reason for. But the biggest reason of them all is new warehouses and new developments.
Something's going on in Illinois. I've seen probably 10 like really nice neighborhoods, mansions, demolished for this. What is this? What is this, bro? What is going on in Illinois? Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I predict that every neighborhood next to an industrial park within the next 5 to 10 years will be torn down.
That's pretty interesting, huh? If you happen to be near an Amazon warehouse, chances are the private homes are going to be destroyed. They'll put up pods. They'll put up some rentals, or some $5,000 a month rentals, which I don't know how you're going to afford that on your Amazon delivery guy's salary. But hey, as long as Amazon stays in business, and they will. And they will. You're gonna get more and more and more of this. So let's talk. Let's go with Jeff Booth. I love Jeff Booth. This man. How can you not love this man? 57 seconds of Jeff Booth. I swear, when I get my own citadel, and I will have my own citadel, Jeff Booth. There will be a statue of Jeff Booth in the main public square.
The hyper-Bitcoinization, it's wild to me that people, they know that we have $400 trillion of insolvent debt. They know it can't be repaid, yet they choose to spend their time having their wages financially repressed, thinking they can beat that $400 trillion of insolvent debt because they can outplay other people on the game board. I just need to make a little bit more money and then I'll do it. They spend all of their time in the existing system making it stronger. And if it didn't look like that, then in Argentina or Turkey or Lebanon, then you would have 100% Bitcoin adoption. And you don't. Those people all over the world, well, after having all of their savings stolen and them trying to repay $400 trillion of debt and losing, they will play the game again, only to be rug pulled again. It is impossible to win long term in that system. Each one of these cycles all over the world will bring more people to Bitcoin who can rise above that whole game board and actually understand what's happening on a different game board.
That's a great question. Do you really think you can outrun $400 trillion worth of global debt? And you haven't thought of it that way, And when you stop thinking in a fiat mindset, then you understand that this will inevitably fail. But like Jeff Booth says, you're going to have to be rug pulled. There's going to be tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, government collapse, riots, civil wars, all kinds of horrible shit. It's just going to have to happen because people, like you said, even in Turkey, Lebanon, Venezuela, Argentina, right? Everything gets stolen from them overnight. They wake up and the amount, in Argentina one day they woke up and the value of their money had been cut in half overnight. You know what I mean? So you used to have $100, now you got $50, and it's it only got worse from there. And did they choose to do something else? No, they're still trying to make it work. They're leaving their shitty money, their Turkish lira, or their I don't know what the Lebanese money, Lebanese dollar. I don't maybe they had a lira over there too. The Argentine peso. They just switched to the U.S. dollar because they think the U.S. dollar is strong, and it's stronger than the Argentine peso. But the same thing is going to happen inevitably. And why you think you can time this? Like you could figure out just, before the building collapses, you're going to run out the door and be safe in the street. It just isn't going to happen. It isn't going to happen. Because the people that are in charge of shit, we all know that they have no compunction about wiping anyone or anything off the face of this fucking earth. Particularly, once again, our friends at the bravest little democracy in the Middle East. They're up to their little hijinks.
After 2 days of Israeli bombardment on Gaza, at least 21 Palestinians have been killed and 64 wounded in an operation that Israel announced on Twitter like a Netflix special. And they keep saying it's a targeted operation, but fail to mention that Gaza is one of the most densely populated places in the world. And almost half of its population is made up of children. They didn't bomb a military site, they targeted homes with sleeping families and children, knowing full well that the only possible outcome was a massacre of Palestinian lives. They killed this brother and sister, this 5-year-old and her mother, a dentist, his wife, and their 20-year-old son. And the list goes on. But yes, Israel's the one being terrorized, and this is all for self-defense. And the real tragedy is an Israeli couple postponing their wedding.
So that's our friends, the small hats, bombing the prison camp again, and no one dares say a word. You don't dare say a word. Okay, is it different from the Hawaiian fires? Is it different from the lives destroyed by the COVID lockdowns? One is fast and violent, and the other one's slow. But ultimately, it's the same effect, right? Now, there's a bro, I guess he's got a weird name. I don't like his name. He calls himself Beauty On, like BEAUTY, Beauty On. I don't know, whatever. But actually, listen to him. The guy's a smart guy. He understands what's going on. I don't know, I don't see a lot of his content. It's the first time I've really seen him. But the brother knows what time it is.
One of the things that I say, Beauty On, is I say Bitcoin or slavery.
It's actually worse than what you just described. It's not Bitcoin or slavery, it's Bitcoin or death. Fiat money is literally killing people. And I know that's paraphrasing somebody who's now an enemy of Bitcoin, but so forgive me. But it is actually literally true. The ability to create money out of nothing, combined with people who are willing to take that money to do bad things so they can spend that money in the short term, is the root cause of many other things that are happening in the world that have to do with militarism and all that kind of business. It's not just about a bad outcome. It's about literally life and death. And this sounds hyperbolic. It sounds over-egging it. I'm afraid I'm not. Part of the reason why people are reluctant to take this seriously is because you have to use this kind of language if you're speaking truthfully. And it sounds like, oh no, this is another conspiracy theory. It's just a hysterical person, but in fact, it's actually true.
Brother makes a point. The brother makes some damn good points. If you're going to be if you're an honest person and you speak about this in a plain fashion, people think you're crazy and they can't deal with it emotionally, right? They just can't deal with it. They think, like Jeff Booth says, I can play this game better than the other guy, but this game ultimately gets everybody. This is the real game. Robert Breedlove, he was kind of big in Bitcoin Twitter for a while. Then he became a shitcoiner. Of course, we hated him, but he has since begun. He has rehabbed himself. He's rehabilitated himself. He's stopped the shitcoining. He understands that he's gone down the wrong path, and now he's doing some pretty good stuff. I got 58 seconds of him. He's on a podcast with Danica Patrick, who's like a female NASCAR driver, or she was a female NASCAR driver, and they're trying to make her, or she's trying to become something in the social media world. But 58 seconds of Robert Breedlove saying stuff that we all know.
Central banking is definitely a scam. It's just a pyramid scheme. Those that can print money are able to steal from those who cannot print money. It's a form of legal plunder. You're stealing from the poor and giving to the rich. A lot of the stolen purchasing power is used to fund warfare. They typically fund both sides of the conflict because you can't lose that way. which obviously drives the scale, scope, and severity of warfare. There's a good argument to be made that neither World War I nor World War II would have been possible to the scope that they were possible without central banking. We're always taught these kind of moral crusades, why the United States went to war. It's never actually about that. Governments are businesses. They're trying to tax people. They go to war occasionally with each other. Purpose of the war is so that they can expand their dominion, expand their tax base, capture and tax more people. These are just businesses that are competing with each other, but the business they're in is human coercion, compulsion, and violence. So when they compete, what does that look like? It looks like warfare.
So there you go. Robert Breedlove talking to Danica Patrick and the NASCAR crowd. That message went out to the NASCAR crowd. You might have noticed that Robert Breedlove says they fund both sides of the war. World War I, World War II would not have happened to the degree and the scope that they happened if it wasn't for central banking. Robert Breedlove is another guy who knows what he doesn't know. And I don't need him to know, right? That message he delivered to Danica Patrick on her podcast was really good, and I looked in the comments and actually well received. If you say the right things, people will respond to you. You can't you know what I do. I make it I'm too plain and too direct. For most people, they're going to be horrified. But I'm not here to be popular. I'm here to get a small number of people into a life raft so that they don't get caught underneath $400 trillion of debt. Now, is that $400 trillion going to fall overnight? No, it's not going to fall overnight. Just like the guy with the $12 million house that's been on the market for 3 years. If you could afford a $12 million house, you could probably keep paying those taxes for a while. You could afford to take that loss for a while, but eventually, the bill is going to come due. Eventually, the music is going to stop. Okay, and that waiting for that moment, you telling yourself that you can time this, you telling yourself that you can figure out exactly when it's going to happen, and you're going to zig when they zag. You've just never done that. You've never done that. No one can do that. The best thing you can do now is work to get the fuck out of this system. Let's stop measuring your life in fiat terms. How big is my house? How much cash do I have in a bank? Who fucking cares? Because they're devaluing the cash every day. Oh, it's not as bad here as it is in Turkey or Argentina, but not as bad doesn't mean it isn't happening. When you say, well, it's not that bad. Come on, it's not that bad. What you're saying is, James, you're 100% right, but I'm not yet motivated to fucking do anything. And, you are making an enormous fucking mistake. We're making an enormous, gigantic mistake. Because Bitcoin will win where everything else loses. Bitcoin is even, this one I got a kick out of, just to lighten up for a moment, just to lighten up from central bankers funding both sides of World War I and World War II, and Bitcoin, Bitcoin or death. Let's go. Let's lighten up the mood a little bit and hop over to Los Angeles and take a seat at the comedy club.
You don't see homeless Asian people. You don't see that. That's right. You don't see like, hey, listen, man, can you help out a brother? Give me some Bitcoin, a little bit Bitcoin, not the whole coin, some of the coin. Hey, listen, man, could you give me $100,000 to I finish medical school and then I'm good. Then I don't need no more help. I'm good.
I remember what that guy's name is, Rob something or other. He did a bunch of really terrible movies back in the 90s, and apparently he's made enough money where he can wear a shiny purple suit on stage, and he's found a way to make some jokes that that get his point across about who's about the difference in ethnic groups, right? But the Bitcoin thing popping up because it's on people's minds again. It's dribbling back into the pop culture. And if you don't appreciate how important that is, then I don't know what to tell you. Recently, the biggest like news. Well, here's this one fucking annoying the shit out of me. This up as a screen share. Our friend Elon Musk revealed to be quietly funding crypto rival to Bitcoin amid the price crash. The price crash of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's now at $25,000, crashed. But yeah, Elon is funding a rival. Oh. Facebook tried to do its own cryptocurrency a few years back. They called it Libra, like for freedom. That failed miserably. Now the point man for the Rothschilds, Elon Musk, with this fucking toy cars, is going to use Twitter or X or whatever you want to call that platform, and the Rothschild-funded shitcoin factory is getting ready to fucking try again. But Elon will fail, as I guarantee you. He's going to fail because at the end of the day, no matter how low listen, I hope they drive the fucking price down because that's better for me. That gives me more time to fucking load up. So I'll show this. Where's yeah. So this is, I took the screenshot from my brokerage account. As you can see, I actually have $34 in Bitcoin on the exchange. Not much, but I circled something in the bottom. It says his average buy price. And I'm not saying this as a flex. I'm not saying this to brag, right? But my average buy price is $9,397, $367, whatever the fuck it is. I can't see numbers that small. So my average buy-in price is $9,300 because I was buying it when it was $4,000. I was buying it when it was $55,000. Okay. And the point of me showing this is not a flex, although it does show that I don't keep any Bitcoin on the exchange. The point of me showing this is that this works even for somebody like me. This works for someone like me, for a dude who has to drive boxes and live in a one-bedroom apartment in New Jersey, as a savings technology, right? I hope Bitcoin crashes to 20,000. Jesus Christ, it'd be a fucking gift from heaven for me, because I would do what I did last week. I would do this. I would just smash up the fucking buy button. I'm still smashing up the buy button. This is from September 3rd, last Sunday. I get a small amount of money and why leave it in my checking account? What's it doing there? It's waiting for fucking, waiting to be devalued. Fuck that. Turn that filthy, dirty fucking fiat into perfect Bitcoin. So if Elon Musk and his friends at Twitter drive the price of Bitcoin down through some magical process, they think they can manipulate it. I really don't think that's going to happen, because the inflation thing is not going away. And the inflation monster is not just for individuals, it's for corporations as well. And the biggest piece of news, I didn't get a screen share of it, but because it seems like the most boring piece of Bitcoin news you could possibly hear. But the Financial Accounting Services Board, which is a national board of accountants, can you imagine a nationwide group of accountants, has come up with a set of rules as to how publicly traded companies can report how they hold, if they hold Bitcoin, and how to value it on their balance sheets. So all these big Wall Street companies, which their wealth is getting eaten up by inflation, and the fucking, officially 5% inflation still loses to a 3% bond. They're still losing money. They're losing money not on, on $1 million. They're losing money on 100 million, 200 million, 500 million. And they don't want to lose 3% of that a year. So they're going to look for something that will protect their all the profits they've made. But they haven't chosen Bitcoin for a number of reasons, because it takes them a long time to get things done, and you got to hire an army of lawyers, and you can't just put all the Bitcoin on fucking one of these and hand it to the fucking CEO, right? You'll never see it again. You have to figure out how they're going to custody it, blah, 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 blah. And then you have to figure out how you're going to report it, because these are publicly traded companies. How will you report what the company owns? And it was super tricky and confusing. But now the National Accountant, whatever service board, have come up with a method for publicly traded companies to list the value of Bitcoin and any other digital assets. And what that means is the gates are open, and that Wall Street has the green light to buy Bitcoin. So in the next year and a half, maybe 3 years at the outside, Bitcoin's going to become untouchable. So when I show this, right, and I'm going to show this again, what the point of me showing this, that my average buy price of Bitcoin was $9,000. Again, it's not to brag that I'm some sort of genius, but I've been doing this for a number of years. And the longer you do this, the more it works for you. And you may be sitting here thinking, Jesus Christ, $25,000 Bitcoin. I don't know. That's a lot of money. I don't know how much you can buy. I don't know what you can buy. But thinking you're going to stay in the fiat system, right? And time your exit perfectly, you're delusional. You know, you're absolutely delusional. And 3 years from now, you're going to wish you had bought Bitcoin at $25,000, because 3 years from now, it's not going to be 25 grand. You need a lower time preference. You can't be high time preference. If you're high time preference, Elon Musk is going to manipulate you. Him and his friends on Twitter, right, which is a very fast platform, right, and probably the reason why they chose Elon Musk rather than Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook is Facebook is not a very, very fast interactive platform the way Twitter is. So if you wanted to push a message out, you could push it out on Twitter to millions and millions of people and potentially affect them, right? You could affect them one way, affect their choices and their decisions, and that would aid you. You know what I mean? How could you do it? Well, you could come up with a synthetic AI influencer, right? You could come up with somebody literally more interesting, funnier, smarter, more intelligent sounding than anyone else, and more trustworthy. They'll come up with an AI like that, push that shit out on Twitter, and then they'll look to manipulate prices like that to their advantage. But if you understand that all governments, right, are slave operations, you know what I mean? And when they go to war with each other, it's just, it's a war for resources, and then who has more tax slaves at the end of the conflict. So whatever form of governance you think is best, you're wrong. Most of your ideas suck, if not all of your ideas suck. They've all been tried before and failed. The future is going to be a future where wealth cannot be stolen from you, confiscated. That's going to be a very different future. But between here and there's going to be a lot of fucking rough water. There's going to be a lot of very, very rough water. And, videos like the El Salvador mega prison, man, that's going to be like a Disney special someday. You know what I mean? That's going to be a children's movie. It's not going to be a vision of authoritarian, vicious authoritarian strongmen in South America. People are going to go, yeah, those guys had it too easy. 2 meals a day? That's too fucking easy. You know what I mean? I wouldn't give them 2 meals a day. And right now, I seem like an extremist. But 10 years from now, I'm going to seem like a soft, mushy liberal. But we're not there yet. We got a lot of things to do between now and 10 years from Anyway, to Virgil Doc Purple Heart, to Judas Fly Chai, to everyone who showed up in the chat, Federico Vasconcelos, everyone that's going to show up in the coming week, make sure to smash up that like button. Who knows, maybe we'll get another Fed next week, and maybe we'll ban him immediately, or maybe we'll let him stick around for a while. Anyway, with that, I will just play the outro music. I'll see you guys again next week.